Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys Magic. This is Hunter coming at you with Steven. Say what up, Steven.
What up, Steven?
We are going to go over Steven's $300 upgrade to Necron Dynasties. He was given the $100 upgrade last time. Now he's given a new chance to redo the deck with $300. Did you change it? Did you do anything different? Tell me what you did with the commander.
Yeah, so pretty much Hunter for this upgrade, I went ahead and got rid of Trazyn the Infinite, and I actually also got rid of Sarek the Silent King. He's still in the deck, but he is not our face commander. I actually went with the funnest one in the deck, in my opinion, and that was Imotekh the Stormlord. Imotekh the Stormlord is 2 colorless and 2 black. He is a legendary artifact creature, Necron. He has a fun ability called Pharaon. Whenever one or more artifact card leaves your graveyard, create 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature tokens. He also has Grand Strategist. At the beginning of combat on your turn, another target artifact creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains menace until end of turn. Like most of the commanders we're kind of going over in these decks, one ability doesn't really matter. That is the one. The one we are looking at is the create 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature tokens. That is what I base this deck on.
Okay. So, switching it up for the 100. Again, though, if you guys wanted to check out Steven's $100 list, very, very powerful, very good. Check the description down below, where you will find the link to the 100 list as well. But this is a new list, so tell me, what are you adding into this deck to make it hum?
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the creatures. I did add 9 creatures to this deck. Uh, Imotekh's ability is basically when cards are leaving our graveyard, specifically artifact cards. So I went ahead and added these 4 beautiful creatures that kind of like work around each other very well. I added Mirror Retriever. It is 2 colorless. It is a 1/1. When Mirror Retriever dies, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. I also added Scrap Trawler. It is 3 colorless. This is a 3/2. When Scrap Trawler or another artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return to your hand target artifact card in your graveyard with lesser mana value. Also added Workshop Assistant. This is 3 colorless for a 1/2. When Workshop Assistant dies, return another target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. And then lastly, Scrap Heap Scrounger. This is 2 colorless for a 3/2. Scrap Heap Scrounger cannot block, but you can pay a colorless and a black. You can exile another creature card from your graveyard, return Scrap Heap Scrounger from your graveyard to the battlefield. So with these 4 cards, we're basically able to make what I like to call an infinite army almost. Pretty much what we're basically doing is in the deck we have some cost reduction. We do have some sack outlets. So the entire point will be kind of almost revolving around these cards, constantly sacrificing them, putting them in the graveyard, bringing them back, and just kind of doing like a giant loop. And yeah, surprise, surprise, I went another infinite combo route, I guess you could say.
All these guys is bringing each other back.
Yep, I mean that's my favorite part. But for the fact that they are bringing each other back, I added 2 creatures to this deck to make them coming back and going away a little painful. So those 2 creatures are Disciple of the Vault. It is 1 black for a 1/1. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may have the target opponent lose 1 life. So I really like this because it's not just our stuff; it's whatever goes to the graveyard. But more than likely, we're going to be the ones putting stuff into our graveyard, especially if they're artifacts. So with us constantly getting them in and out, we're going to be pinging people left and right. So that's a really cool way to do that. I also added Marionette Master, which is 4 colorless and 2 black. It is a 1/3. It has Fabricate 3, which states when this creature enters the battlefield, put 3 +1/+1 counters on it, or create 3 1/1 servo creature artifact tokens. And then whenever an artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, target opponent loses life equal to Marionette Master's power. So we really want to put those +1/+1 counters on it instead of the servos, because since we're going to be sacrificing all these mirrors, the Scrap Trawler, the Workshop Assistant, the Scrounger, it's basically just going to be pinging people left and right for 4 power. And that's kind of what we wanted to go for.
Marionette Master has been a staple in artifact decks ever since it was printed.
Oh, it's probably one of my favorite cards, man. Honestly, I didn't really realize how good it was. I actually took it out of one of my precons one time, and I put it back immediately once I figured it out.
Very good in treasure themed decks too.
And then obviously, with Mirror Retriever, Scrap Trawler, Workshop Assistant, and the Scrounger kind of having different costs and stuff like that, and we're trying to go mana positive when we do certain sacks. I added a couple creatures to make things a little cheaper for us. So I did add Foundry Inspector, which is 3 colorless. It is going to be a 3/2. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. I also added Joyer's Familiar, 4 colorless for 2/2. Has flying, and then historic spells you cast cost 1 less to cast as well. With our entire deck being artifacts, I think having these 2 cards in the deck are just pretty. I mean, yeah, I don't know how you wouldn't put them in.
Yeah, artifacts and cost reduction. They fit perfectly.
Almost too perfectly.
Oh,
And then with the last creature, I call this my just in case. I added Chief of the Foundry. It is 3 colorless for a 2/3. Other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. Basically with Imotekh, we're just making a giant army and we want to swing and just kill everybody just in case we can't ping them to death. So I like this to be my just in case. I want my opponent to have a board wipe because if they don't, I'm going to murder everybody.
it's a good backup plan.
It's a massive backup plan. Bunch of 3/3s. Boom.
All right. Well, I saw some of your creatures, but what are the sorceries that you're throwing into this deck to get things going?
Well, for sorceries, I did put in 2 reanimation effects. I added the OG reanimate, 1 black, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose life equal to its mana value. Pretty much, this can bring back anything on our deck. Our deck is filled with some powerful, powerful, powerful creatures that no matter what we bring back, obviously we're going to make those 2/2 Black Necron artifact creature tokens. That it's just going to be. This is just it has to. It's a must add. The second card I did is pretty much the same thing. It's just unearth for 1 black. Return target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is pretty good because pretty much all those creatures that I added are all 3 mana value or less. So bringing those back are going to be pretty good for us. Another sorcery I added, probably my favorite. Actually, my first pull from a set booster that I got from Strixhaven, which was the first box I ever bought, was a Demonic Tutor from the Mystical Archive set, and that was pretty cool. That's kind of what kind of got me back into Magic a little bit more than what I did, and I kind of put it in almost every single deck I have now since I have it. But yeah, Demonic Tutor, 1 colorless and a black. Search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, then shuffle your library. We can pretty much go for any card. We're going to get into what I would want to search for in a little while. It's one of our artifacts, but this is definitely a staple in any black deck. And then the last sorcery I added is probably yet again another staple in any black deck. It is Damnation. It is 2 colorless, 2 black. Destroy all creatures. They cannot be regenerated. Don't regenerate around me. You can't do it.
Damnation, one of the best blackboard wipes ever printed.
100%.
And the instants. We got to look at your sorceries. What are we going with instants?
So I said it in my 100 video, and I'm going to say it in the 300 too. It is super odd that they printed a super cool, different artwork, Dark Ritual for the 40K series, but they did not include it in the mono black deck. So
Yeah,
unfortunately, for the second time, I will have to say I added Dark Ritual to my deck.
super weird, man. They put it in Ruinous Powers. The mono black deck definitely seems like it should have had it.
Yep, but Dark Ritual for 1 black, you add 3 black mana to your mana pool. Classic definitely ramps you up, and you can get things out way fast. And then the second card, this deck has a pretty good package for getting rid of things, but I did have to add a Deadly Rollick, 3 colorless and a black. But if you control your commander, you may cast a spell without paying its mana cost, and you exile target creature. At instant speed, that is massive.
Seems like pretty good instants you got here. I like it.
Yep, short but sweet. You can't go wrong with these 2.
But being an artifact themed deck, you have to have a lot more artifacts.
Oh man, do I? I'm not gonna lie to you. So I'll go ahead and talk about one of my favorite new artifacts that I've found recently, and that's thanks to David. So shout out David. I added Wishclaw Talisman. It'll be 1 colorless and a black. Wishclaw Talisman enters the battlefield with 3 wish counters on it. You can pay 1 colorless, tap it, remove a wish counter from it, and then you can search your library for a card, put that card in your hand, then shuffle your library. The unfortunate part is after you do this, an opponent gains control of Wishcloth Talisman, and they can activate this ability only during their turn. Great artifact. You basically a demonic tutor in the artifact area. The only issue with it is obviously you do have to give it to an opponent, but I feel like this is like that worst case tutor where you're basically searching for your infinite combo piece, especially in a deck kind of like this, or trying to go off really quickly. So hopefully it doesn't come down to it where you have to then pass to somebody. But yeah, Wishclaw Talisman, definitely an ad.
Very good card. Good job, David, for showing Steven the way.
Yeah, thanks, David, for showing me how to go infinite again. I'll go ahead and talk about my sack outlets now. I went ahead and added Ashnod's Altar, 3 colorless, sacrifice a creature, add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. And then I also added Krark Clan Ironworks, 4 colorless, sacrifice an artifact, add 2 mana to your mana pool. I mean, both of them are really good. I kind of added 2 just to have a little bit of a safety feature, just in case one of them does get removed. Yeah, but basically using the mana that we're going to generate from sacrificing like Mirror Retriever or Scrap Trawler, we can use that with the cost reductions that we're constantly getting to go ahead and put that back in to go ahead and go infinite and just make a massive board state. Speaking of cost reduction, went ahead and added Cloud Key, 3 colorless. As Cloud Key enters the battlefield, choose artifact, creature, enchantment, instant, or sorcery. Spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. Hunter, can you guess what we're going to choose?
Gonna go ahead and choose artifacts.
Ding, ding, ding. You got it, buddy.
Hey,
We're going with
nice.
artifacts. Yep. Basically, if you can't tell by now, the general theme of the deck is sacrifice, cost reduction, bring everything back cheaply, play everything cheaper, and have a good time. Speaking of bringing things back, Nim Deathmantle is another card I added for 2 colorless. Equipped creature gets +2/+2, has Intimidate, and is a black zombie. Whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 4. If you do, return that card to the battlefield and attach Nim Deathmantle to it. Equipped 4. So with this, basically anytime something is leaving our graveyard, we are making 2/2 Black Necron Warrior artifact creature tokens. So us being able to sacrifice both of those creatures to make 4 colorless mana to use Nim Deathmantle to basically infinitely loop this was pretty easy to put this in the deck.
Yeah, it makes too much sense.
Way too much sense. A couple artifacts I added for some pinging sensations. Blasting Station, 3 colorless. You can tap it, sacrifice a creature. Blasting Station deals 1 damage to target creature or player. Whenever a creature comes into play, you may untap Blasting Station. I mean, I think, it's pretty self-explanatory what we want to do here. But sacrifice a creature, it being one of the creatures we can constantly bring back from the graveyard once something dies. Once that happens, boom, you just keep untapping it, tap, untap, tap, and just ping people to death. Or I should say, blast them to death.
That's mean.
It is mean, but I'll be honest with you, we're about to get to the mean part right after this card. So we'll
Okay.
talk about it really quick. Trading Post, I did add 4 colorless. It has pay 1 generic, tap it, discard a card, you gain 4 life. Pay 1, tap it, pay 1 life, create a 0/1 white goat creature token. Super weird. Pay 1, tap it, sacrifice a creature, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Pay 1, tap it, sacrifice an artifact, draw a card. Obviously, we really do like the third ability, just sacrificing a creature, putting it in our graveyard, return target artifact. We're going to make 2 of those 2/2 Black Necron Warrior artifact creature tokens, and we can just continuously do stuff like that the entire time. It's pretty amazing. With that being said, though, I did something kind of mean, Hunter, and I do apologize to everyone watching. Put a
What
pretty
did you
mean
do?
combo in this. I put a mean combo in this deck. So I put in 4 cards, and I do want to show them all at one time. I put in the Veneral's Disc, Mycosynth Lattice, Unwinding Clock, and Darksteel Forge. So what we can do here is we can basically play Mycosynth Lattice, which is 6 colorless. All permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types. All cards that aren't on the battlefield, spells, and permanents are colorless. Players may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. With that on the field, everything is an artifact. Our opponent's lands are artifacts, our opponent's creatures are artifacts, even the artifacts are artifacts. Then we have Darksteel Forge on the field. Darksteel Forge is 9 mana. Artifacts we control are indestructible. And now the fun part, we have Navinral's Disc, which is 4 mana. It enters the battlefield tapped. We can pay 1, tap it, destroy our artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. Wall Hunter, if all of our opponent's stuff are artifacts, including their lands, and we tap Navinral's Disc, we're going to wipe everything.
Yeah, that is way meaner than the last thing you talked about.
Yeah. The way meaner part about this, though, is we're going to basically keep all of our stuff because our stuff's indestructible, including Navinral's Disc.
Yeah.
And then you have Unwinding Clock, which is 4 colorless, untap all artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. So you can constantly wipe them every single turn.
That's called a lock.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Get locked, son.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah. I don't have anything to say to that, dude. That's just. If you get this combo off and I'm playing against you, I'm
You're going to
not
scoop?
finishing. I'm scooping. I'm not finishing the game.
Yeah, 100%. But you're finishing the game by scooping.
Yeah, sure. If you want to say. Yeah, okay, fine. You win. You want? Is that what you want to hear? You win?
Yes, that's 100% what I want to hear.
All right.
Yeah. But, that it is a lot of mana. You have 9 mana for Darksteel. You have 6 mana for Mycosynth. And basically 8 mana combined between the Minerals and Unwinding Clock. But at the end of the day, if we're pulling off a whole bunch of creatures, especially with our commander, because it does make 2 of these creatures every time something leaves your graveyard. Being able to have Ashnod's Altar, Krark Clan Works, all the reduction we have between Joyous Familiar, the Cloud Key, or the Foundry Inspector, it's not hard to get this out. Especially if your opponents leave you alone for a little while. This is going to be ridiculous.
And you might not even need it.
We might not even need it, but I love the fact that it's there.
It's true. So, we heard about all those crazy artifacts. Now talk to me about the enchantments.
I did add some beautiful enchantments. I added an enchantment that I'm pretty sure was made for this deck. Ancient of the Iron Throne. It is 2 colorless and a black for a legendary enchantment background. Commander creatures you own have whenever an artifact or creature you control is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. So again, we're just looking at that ping factor here. We're constantly trying to find different ways to do it. And if you get rid of 1, there's going to be another 1 coming your way. I just want to let you know. But just in case we don't have that lock on the field, and I don't want you to have creatures, and we're basically sacking stuff all the time, I also added Dictate of Erebos and Grave Pact. Dictate of Erebos is 3 colorless, 2 black. It is an enchantment with flash. Whenever a creature I control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. So, bye-bye to your stuff. I don't want you to have fun. I want to be the only one to have fun at the table. With that being said, Grave Pact is also there, which is a colorless and 3 black. Whenever a creature we control dies, each other player sacrifices a creature. So same thing, little redundancy, but just in case you get rid of 1, I want you to know there's something coming. And then 2 cards that kind of work the same. They're both really fun. Phyrexian Reclamation for 1 black. You can pay 1 colorless and a black, pay 2 life, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So we can basically constantly just get stuff out of our graveyard, which is really cool. So even if you are able to kill one of our creatures that is basically a combo piece for us, we are able to get it back. Also, Tortured Existence for 1 black. You can pay a black, choose and discard a creature card, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. You can pretty much do this every time. And this is, it's almost kind of insane that this card is A, so cheap, and B, not that expensive to play. Because at the end of the day, if we have stuff in our hand that we want in our graveyard to bring back, that might be too expensive, or we have like Reanimate or Unearth, we can literally just discard it with Tortured Existence, and then we can bring something else back. It's insane. I love it.
All right, rounding it out the deck. What new lands are you throwing in here?
I added 3 fun lands. One land in a mono black deck that has to be included is Cabal Coffers. 2 colorless. You tap it. You can add a black mana for each swamp you control. Shocker, we have nothing but swamps other than these next 2 cards. We have Inventor's Fair at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control 3 or more artifacts, you gain 1 life. You can tap it to add a colorless mana, or you can pay 4, tap it, you can sack it, and you can search your library for an artifact card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. Activate this ability only if you control 3 or more artifacts. I did enjoy this land. It's not a swamp, so it's not really helping the Cabal Coffers, but it could possibly help us get to a card that we need in the future. So that's why I did
Don't
include it.
forget to gain that life. You're gonna
Yeah,
miss that trigger so often.
I know, I will. I've missed so many triggers. Because this is just on the field. I need to put like a dice on it or something just to make sure I remember. And then the last land was just Phyrexian Tower, just a classic land. It is a legendary land, which is really nice. You can tap it to add a colorless, or you can tap it, sack a creature, add 2 black mana. So we're definitely just trying to get mana positive on a lot of things. And with the sack outlets we have, and being able to sack stuff, and then just, God, I love this deck.
You were right. These lands are fun. But it's time to move on to the stuff that's not fun. And that is removing all the cards to make room for all the new goodies. So kick us off. What are we removing from the deck?
I did remove a bunch more creatures than I added, but pretty much we are an artifact themed deck, so I wanted more artifacts than anything, even if they are artifact creatures. So I did get rid of Chronomancer. It is a colorless and a black for a 1/1. It has flying. You can pay 1, tap it, sacrifice another artifact, draw a card, unearth 2 and a black. I know I'm going to probably catch a lot of slack on some of the cards I did get rid of because some of them do have unearth, which I know goes with the mechanic of our commander of basically creating those 2/2 black Necron warrior tokens. I just, with the other stuff we added, I just found it to be way easier, and constantly being able to do it, it made more sense for me to do it this way. We got rid of Flayed One. It is 2 colorless and a black for a 4/1 with lifelink. It has when Flayed One enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards. I get it. We're putting cards into our graveyard to bring back. I just, for 3 mana, there are other cards we've added that we can definitely play with a little bit more. Imotekh Wraith is another card I got rid of. It is 3 colorless for a 2/1. It cannot be blocked, which is cool. I like that. And then when it deals combat damage to a player, you can pay 3 and sacrifice it. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards with the same name as a land you control, put them onto the battlefield, tap, and shuffle. So this is basically another version of a Burnished Heart, except you have to deal combat damage. It's so boring to me. Get it out of my way. I got rid of Locust Heavy Destroyer, a colorless 3 black, flying. When it enters the battlefield, each player sacrifices a creature. It has unearthed 5 colorless and 3 black. I mean, so this is basically like a Merciless Executioner, Fleshbag Marauder. It costs more, except this one's flying, and it can come back from the graveyard for fucking 8 mana. It's ridiculous. No, bye-bye.
That's a hefty cost.
It's a hefty cost, man. Especially when the other ones that I just talked about are basically 3 mana. Now, I understand that this is 1 more to pay, so it's not terrible, but you have to pay 3 black instead of just the 1 that the other ones cost. So I'd rather have those in there other than this. Also got rid of Cryptek, which is 3 colorless and a black. It does have, you can pay 1 colorless and a black. You can tap it. Choose another target artifact creature you control. When that creature dies this turn, return it to the battlefield tapped under your control. This one was a little tough to kind of get rid of because essentially you're making your creature that you could either sacrifice, go to the graveyard, and then bring it back almost immediately. So you get the, 2/2 Black Necron Warrior artifact creature tokens. I don't know. I wanted something else. It didn't like wow me the way that I wanted it to. But if I did have to put another creature in, this would be the first one to go back in. Necron Deathmark, 3 colorless, 2 black. It has flash. Whenever it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target creature and target player mills 3 cards. In the last deck that I did, the 100, somebody had mentioned that we can target ourselves with the mill, and looking back at it, in that deck it made more sense to put that back in there, and I considered it. In this deck, it doesn't really make much sense to me for 5 mana to destroy a target creature, and then I mill 3 cards. I just 5 mana. I'd rather do anything else. Canatep Spider, 5 colorless, flying. Whenever another non-token artifact, creature, or vehicle enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Uh, Shocker. In the next slide, I got rid of pretty much every vehicle in this deck. They're cool, but I just no, don't. Bye. Triox Stalker, 3 colorless, 2 black. It has, at the beginning of your combat turn, choose an opponent. Creatures attacking the last chosen player have menace. This card's kind of fun, actually. I'm not gonna lie to you. This one is kind of tough to get out of the way, but our deck is pretty mana heavy on 5-cost cards, so I kind of wanted to reduce it a little bit, especially with the addition of all the artifacts that had such high mana costs. But being able to choose an opponent and then basically telling people, hey, listen, if you attack that guy, all your stuff will have menace. It's kind of like a little bargaining chip. I don't know.
Yeah, those made sense to get rid of. They just didn't seem to be strong enough for what you wanted to do.
No. And then the tough ones to get rid of. These are the big boys of the deck, in my opinion. I did get rid of Trazyn the Infinite. We're not really worried about abilities of artifacts in our graveyard, so I just went ahead and took this one out. It's really good for the 100 upgrade that I did, but not for this one.
Goodbye, Trazyn.
Goodbye, Trazyn. You are no longer infinite. Which I guess doesn't make sense, because technically he's Trazyn the Infinite, so that's a debate for
There
another day.
forever.
That's a bit another day.
He's there forever in your heart.
He is in my heart. He is. It was a fun upgrade.
Yeah, check the 100 list out. It's drifted below.
I also got rid of Tombblade. 4 colorless, 2 black, flying. When it deals damage to a player, that player loses life equal to the number of creatures they control unless they sacrifice a creature. I think this card is so stupid. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm missing something. That, and it has Unearth 8. Like, no. Absolutely not. Get out of my deck. Hexmark Destroyer, 4 colorless, 2 black. It cannot be blocked except by 6 or more creatures. It has Unearth 6, which is fitting. I mean, this is cool. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's a 6/6. It can attack, and people have to block it with 6 or more creatures. I just, I feel like a broken record when I say this every single upgrade video, but like, for the theme of the deck we're doing, it doesn't make sense.
There's got to be some sort of lore behind this card because it costs 6. It's a 6/6. Can't be blocked by 6. Unearth 6. A lot of 6s in this.
Actually, Hunter, I want to give a shout out to Manuel. We were talking about the War in Heaven. I got rid of it out of my $100 deck, and David had asked for the lore behind it, and he came in clutch, dude. So if that guy is watching this video and you want to give us some lore behind this card, I would love you forever, buddy.
Hexmark Destroyer. Do explain. What's with the 6s?
What's with the 6s? Last 2 creatures I got rid of: Shard of the Void Dragon, 4 colorless and 3 black. It has flying. Whenever it attacks, each opponent sacrifices a non-land permanent, and whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield or is put into exile from the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Shard of the Void. It's a 7/7, so it's a big boy. It is flying. I don't know. I mean, for 7 mana, I'd rather play like Mycosynth Lattice and destroy everything with the Veneral's Disc and Unwinding Clock. I don't know. That's just me, though.
Oh, that's just you, though.
It probably is just me. I'm probably the only guy out here trying to do that. I am honestly the worst person. I'm sorry, guys. And then the last creature, just Shard of the Nightbringer. This one was kind of a toughie to get rid of. I mean, it is big, hefty mana, so 5 colorless and 3 black. It's an 8/8, but its ability is great. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, target opponent loses half their life rounded up, and I gain life to the life lost this way. Now, the reason why it was a toughie to get rid of is that ability is strong, but the reason why it did eventually get the axe is because you have to cast it to get that ability. So no reanimation effects. That's why I didn't really want to keep it.
Moving on. You got rid of all those big boy creatures. What are the sorceries you got rid of to make room for your cool sorceries?
I did get rid of two sorceries. Funny enough, they're actually two board wipes. I got rid of Mutilate, two colorless and two black. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn for each swamp you control, and their name is Death, which is a sick name and artwork. It is three colorless and three black. It is destroy all non-artifact creatures. Uh, Funny. I mean, I put Damnation in. Maybe I did that because I wanted Damnation in the deck. I don't know. But yeah, I got rid of these two. I needed to make cuts. I wanted to add cool stuff. I wanted the deck to flow a certain way, and killing off all our stuff and killing off other opponents' stuff. I only want to do it one time. I hate board wipes, if I'm honest with you. Just makes the game drag on.
Yeah, man. I think Damnation is way better. It's cheaper. It's better. So those were the sorceries. What are the artifacts that you had to say goodbye to?
Yep. So pretty much like I said earlier, I got rid of pretty much every single vehicle in the deck. Ghost Arc for 4 colorless. It's a 3/3 flying. Whenever it becomes crewed, each artifact card in our graveyard gains unearthed 3. Necron Monolith. It's 7 flying indestructible. It's a 7/7. Whenever it attacks, we mill 3 cards. For each creature card milled this way, we create a 2/2 black Necron artifact creature token. As crew 4, and then Night Scythe. It is 3 colorless for a 3/1 with flying. Whenever Night Scythe enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 black Necron artifact creature token. Night Scythe's cool. I feel like we're going to make way more doing everything else that we want. That this was kind of pointless, so I got rid of it. Necron Monolith, a 7/7 indestructible, is pretty good. And every time it attacks, we mill 3 cards, and we get a token for each creature we mill this way. For 7 mana, I'd rather just find anything else to lock the board and just murder everything else. And then Ghost Arc was kind of cool. The Unearth 3 instead of like all those high expensive Unearth costs. Like I get it, but like I said, I just want to do other stuff, so I got rid of these 3. I got rid of some mana producers, which I know is kind of like taboo, but I mean, we're doing stuff with Ashnod's Altar and the correct clan ironwork. So I mean, I didn't really find a point. I got rid of Gilded Lotus for 5 mana. You can add 3 mana of any color. Wafer's Bauble is out of every single deck that I've played ever. I never play that card. And Unstable Obelisk, which is like the stupidest mana rock I've ever seen in my entire life. So I got rid of those 3 for sure. And then just 4 other cards I got rid of. Endless Atlas for 2 colorless. It is 2 colorless. Tap it. Draw a card. Activate this ability only if you control 3 or more lands with the same name. No. Just no. Resurrection Orb was kind of a tough one to get rid of, if I'm being honest with you. Equipped creature has lifelink, and then whenever equipped creature dies, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. It's equipped 4. We got Nim's Death Mantle. There's really no point for this, so bye. And then Mask of Memory, 2 colorless. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw 2 cards. If you do, discard a card. It has equipped 1. This one was kind of fun. I liked it. I like the damage aspect of it. I also don't like the fact you have to deal damage. So bye. And then Cage Sun, 6 mana. When it enters the battlefield, choose a color. Shocker, we're going to choose black.
What?
Well, actually, we're not. It's out of the deck.
Oh,
Creatures you control the chosen color get +1/+1. Whenever land ability causes you to add 1 or more mana of the chosen color, add 1 additional mana to that color. I feel like we have enough mana in the deck. I feel like we have enough to do with Cabal Coffers, Phyrexian Tower, the Inventor's Fair. I feel like we're good. I feel like we can find everything we need to make this deck work.
yeah.
So
For
bye
something
bye.
that costs 6 too.
Yes, yes it does.
All right. Well, those are all the artifacts you removed, but I do like the ones you added even more. But what are some enchantments you got rid of?
Yep. So shout out David. Sorry, buddy. I did get rid of the War in Heaven again. 3 colorless, 3 black. First counter, you are drawing 3 cards, losing 3 life. Second counter, you are milling 3 cards. And then the third counter, you can choose up to 3 target creature cards with total mana value 8 or less in your graveyard. Return each of them to the battlefield with Necrodermis counters on them. They are artifacts in addition to their other types. It's cool, but I don't know. just rather kill you guys. I don't know.
Necrodermis.
Yeah, I did like that word. It's a fun word. Second, shout out again, Manuel, for the lore on this card. If you guys didn't read it, it is a fun comment to read on the $100 video. But I did also get rid of Out of the Tombs. It is 2 colorless and a black. At the beginning of your upkeep, put 2 Eon counters on Out of Tombs. Then mill cards equal to the number of Eon counters on it. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, instead return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. If you can't, you lose the game. Yeah. Cool effect. Don't care. Biotransference. 2 colorless, 2 black. Creatures you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you lose 1 life and create a 2/2 black Necron Warrior artifact creature token. That's the part that kind of scared me a little bit because obviously we were trying to cast a lot of artifact spells. And when we're not really going positive on the life gain, when we're losing the life, I didn't really want this on the field.
Yeah, those cuts are sad, especially the War in Heaven, just because of the cool name.
I do think the card is great. I think being able, like, you play this card, now granted, 6 mana, you're losing 3 life and you're drawing 3 cards, that kind of sucks. You mill 3 cards. But I feel like you're playing this card when you have a big baddie in your graveyard or you have 3 creatures that you really want to bring back that are going to really help you.
True, but unfortunately that saga doesn't have read ahead, so you can't get to that last part really quick. So your
Nope.
opponents might be able to interact before you get to that part.
Exactly. And I don't want to waste 6 mana.
So, what are some of the lands you took out of the deck?
So yeah, pretty much if it said enters the battlefield tapped, it died to me. It's gone. I kept 1 land in there that says enters tapped, and that is probably the best land in Magic, and that is Myriad Landscape. Other than that, everything else is gone. But I did get rid of Baron Moor. Enters the battlefield tapped, adds a black, has cycling for 1 black, gone. Desert of the Glory Field. Enters the battlefield tapped, adds black mana, cycles for a colorless and a black, gone. Tomb Fortress enters the battlefield tapped, adds a black. You can pay 2 and then 3 black. You can exile it, mill 4 cards, and then return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Cool. I like it. Enters tapped, gone. Polluted Mire enters the battlefield tapped. Gives you a black. You can cycle it for 2 colorless, gone. I got rid of Reliquary Tower. That one doesn't enter tapped. But I don't really think that we're going to be needing maximum hand size, and I'd rather just keep the swamp theme going with the Cabal Coffers. Funny enough, though, I did get rid of 1 swamp as well. It came down to it where I didn't want to get rid of anything else, and I'm the kind of guy that'll get rid of a land any day.
1 swamp gets the boot. All right. Is that it?
I think that's it, man.
Okay, seems like you made quite the powerful deck. I'm very excited to play up against it.
Thank you.
But my question for you now remains. We have given you $300. Make a deck with $300, and your total is.
Drum roll, please. $305.02.
So you went over.
Yeah, I did go over. Believe it or not, it was kind of tough to go over, which I know seems easy, but like artifact creatures aren't expensive at all.
Yeah, if you're making a theme with artifacts, it's yeah, artifacts. They're colorless to go in everything. They print a
Yep.
lot of them.
Yep. I mean, pretty much the backbone of the deck, money wise, was just trying to like either destroying shit, finding shit, or reanimating shit.
Lots of shit.
Lots of shit.
All right, Steven. Well, went over a little bit, but that's okay. I'll give it to you. What did you think about this deck overall?
I think the Necron Dynasties Precon is pretty amazing, if I'm honest with you. I think out of the box it's pretty strong. I think a lot of things you can do with it are really cool. The avenues you're able to go, depending on what commander you want to pick. Because in all honesty, this deck probably has at least 4 or 5 commanders that you can go with. The three strongest being definitely, I think, the Face Commander. Even though a lot of people don't like him, he's definitely still up there in power. But the strongest is probably Trazen with the artifact abilities. You can build him super cheap. Imotekh is definitely really strong. I like him the most because he's cheaper to get out. So if people keep killing him, you're able to kind of get some more value out of him. But with him being able to produce two Black Necron warrior tokens, I think that it's just amazing because the value you get with stuff like Ashnod's Altar or the Krark Clan Ironworks and just being able to make that mana is just insane because each of those guys is 2 colorless. So you're making 4 colorless mana just from something coming out of your graveyard, which this deck easily does. So I love it, man.
Yeah, it seems pretty powerful. I'm very excited to play against it.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
can't wait to blow up all your stuff.
I'm not gonna like that at all.
Keep
But
removal.
oh, you know I will. But that is gonna do it. If you guys want to see Steven's full deck list, look at the description down below where we will post the entire Moxfield link. While you're down there, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Follow us on our Instagram and Twitter and TikTok. That is at Guys That Magic for all of our cool stuff. You can also leave a comment down below telling us or telling Steven what you thought about his deck list. Did you enjoy it? Are you going to build it like he did? What would you have changed? Let him know. We enjoy talking to everybody.
Yeah, let me
And
know if you guys are assholes like me.
perfect. There you go. And until the next video, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Peace.
Goodbye.